Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. And I have a new guest for us. And this is someone that I don't know hardly at all, but somebody recommended her to me on Twitter, said I should check out her channel. I think it's still a pretty new channel, and that she was a paralegal and that she had a really interesting way of talking about things, particularly some of these celebrity cases like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. And so anyway, and I checked out, I haven't looked at too many of her videos just because I'm so busy, but I've checked out a couple of them, and I think we're going to have an interesting conversation. And so anyway, this is Debbie Dooms. And I'm assuming that's like a stage name, kind of. I like it.
Thank you.
But anyway, say hello to us. And I guess one other thing I would say to my audience is that my husband will be in the background going about normal life here. So, we're keeping it casual tonight, casual conversation. And maybe he'll even introduce himself. I don't know. He's going to have a guitar, hopefully not playing too loud. But anyway. Okay. So, Debbie, do you want to just tell me, like, if I got anything wrong in your little bio there, tell us what you would like my audience to know about you.
Yeah, hi. Well, I'm a paralegal, and I don't know, I just got the idea to kind of talk about this kind of stuff from the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case, and I'd been following it anyways, and I was super interested in it, so I just figured, why not just talk about it? And I guess I just wanted to talk about it in the way, like, keeping it real and kind of sharing my thoughts and my feelings, and just kind of like making jokes and just kind of, I don't know, because like I guess like not everyone knows these kind of terms, so I just kind of wanted to make it like accessible or so that everyone can understand.
Yeah, and I like one thing that I like about the videos that I've looked at is that you give a legal perspective, but also it's just kind of at times it's also just a conversation, even apart from the legal stuff, of just kind of like your feelings and thoughts and impressions. And I like that mix there when like you said, you're keeping it real. And so, well, okay. One thing I wanted to ask is, what makes, she has a dog, no problem. Okay, so what was it that attracted you to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation to start making videos about it? Because it seems like for you, as for me, that was kind of a catalyst, right, to start?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, like, I have never like believed her, to be honest, because it didn't really make sense, like, from the beginning to me.
It don't make sense to you.
Well, just because the demand letter, and then just the way that she went about it.
Would you explain to our viewers what you mean by the demand letter?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So before, any paperwork got filed, Amber Heard sent, a letter from her law firm or her lawyer to Johnny Depp saying, I want this car. I want ownership of, I can't remember how many penthouses. I want 15, I think it was what, 50 grand. I can't remember the exact amount, like 50 grand, $15,000 a month spousal. And if not, like, she threatened, like, we will serve you on a red carpet, like premiere at a movie. I was like,
wait, it said that in the document that it was.
Yeah. So I was like, well, why would you do that?
Why would they put that in there? Except just,
No, like, we were gonna serve you, but we didn't. Like, as it's like a veiled threat. I guess just because I work in law, I know how it is. It's like a thinly veiled threat. Like, oh, we didn't know how to get a hold of you, so we were gonna serve you on the red carpet. Because in process serving, like, if you know someone's gonna be somewhere, so you're like, oh, you've been served, kind of thing. So like, oh, we were thinking to serve you at the premiere. It's already kind of setting the groundwork for, like, we were gonna embarrass you, kind of thing.
Exactly. It's making it very clear that was
the like, we're gonna play dirty, basically. And I guess when she didn't, like, acquiesce to his demands, then things just like, what? Well, and also, like, what sealed the deal for me was, like, when she, like, that little bruise that she had, and then the pictures came out the very next day where she's like, with her friend. I was like, what? Right?
Yeah. Those were crazy. Her cackling with, I think she was with Raquel.
No, that, to me, just that picture. I'm a very, like, spiritual, intuitive, empathetic person. So I was just like, the energy of it just, like, looked like I don't know, kind of like an evil laugh.
Yeah, I did.
So I was like, she's full of it. And to be honest with you, to be really, really honest with you, I was like, people are gonna get mad at me. They're gonna not like what I have to say. But then I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna, say it. And the tide luckily turned, and people started to believe Johnny more than they believed her. But at first, I was like, wow, people are just gonna like eat me alive.
Yeah.
But once the actual trial started, I think like that's like when things really started to change, when more evidence came out.
Yeah. So you've been around for several years making these videos, is that right?
No, I would say like I really started making these kind of videos like I guess it's like the end of last summer when the trial was actually going on. It was, I think I started like end of week 1 of the trial, which was about 3 weeks, I believe.
Did you find the trial to be the UK trial for our audience, what we're talking about?
Yeah.
What did you find other than the verdict, the outrageous, insane verdict? What did you find to be the most surprising things that you got out of that trial? Interesting or revelatory?
I would just say that there was a lot of times like when Amber Heard, like when she was doing her like testimony, there would be days like from one day to the next where she completely contradicted her story. Or because you're not supposed to talk to the other witnesses, right? Like you're not supposed to, but clearly she did, because she's like, actually I want to change my story. It was this and this. And then her sister conveniently kind of changed the same day because they're like, okay, let's get our story straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was just the fact that like from one day to the next, specifically, I'm referring more like to when she said that it was a 3-day hostage situation. That was one of the things. But she's like, wow, I was held as a hostage for 3 days. They're like, oh, but you could have left? Yeah, I could have left. And you had a phone? Yeah, I had a phone. So how are you all hostage? Like all of these things. Mm-hmm. So it just blew my mind how he sided with her. Oh, I'm going to accept her word for it, despite there being evidence and contradicting testimony. And
right.
Also, and one thing that a lot of people don't talk about that I think is enough, that should have been enough to get a retrial in itself, was the fact that the judge, his ex-wife, they're still close, by the way, him and his ex-wife, she was a mentor to Amber Heard's lawyer. Like she actually mentored her to become a lawyer, which is actually a huge deal in the legal field. Like when you mentor someone to become a lawyer and you teach them, that's like a very big deal, and it's a very like close relationship. Like for example, like a relationship between a paralegal and a lawyer, you have like you're supposed to ideally have a good relationship together, right? It's like a trust relationship. Mm-hmm. It's even more so when you're like mentoring someone. So that is a very close relationship. And as a judge, you're not supposed to have any close relationships to anyone related to the case, whether it's like any named parties or their lawyers, which he did have. So he should have disclosed that and recused himself, which he didn't do.
Right.
And I'm just like, I haven't really even heard them bring that up as a reason for a retrial, which I think they should have, because that alone should have been grounds, in my opinion, for a retrial, because he had that really close relationship with Amber Heard's lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Was it Sasha Wass? Am I getting that
right? Jennifer Robinson.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. That's right. Yeah, I think Wass was the son's lawyer, but and you know, it's his. I was reading that that judge, the UK judge, his wife is current wife, I guess, is a really huge feminist activist and figure in the legal profession. And so I guess what I'm wondering, you know, what is your insight on why he made that ruling? Do you side with people who see it as a kind of a payoff where he actually got paid off by the son? Or do you think it's more like a political type thing? Like he's like what we're kind of talking about, like influenced by the sort of the political mood around him?
I mean, of course, I don't know. This is just my speculation. Sure. But what I'm kind of thinking is just based on the close relationship that he would have had with Amber's lawyer, that it would have been either like some type of like a favor, or because of this close relationship, I know this about you, or something like that. Right. So that is like kind of what either it was a favor, like because, you know, like we're close, I got you kind of thing.
Right.
Or because in the legal profession, there's like, oh, we play golf, we golf together. You know, there's that saying, like there are actually, it's not, you're not supposed to, but shady lawyers, shady judges, they do kind of have those relationships where like you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of thing. So I could either be that, or maybe someone has some kind of dirt on him, like a blackmail or kind of thing. I don't know, but there's definitely something suspicious. I started to read his reasons for judgment, and I just like, I couldn't do it. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and waste my time, because everything, when he's like confronted with the actual evidence, he's like, I'm just going to accept her word for it. I'm just going to accept her word for it. It was a joke. It was literally a joke. I couldn't even stomach it. It made me I felt sick. I felt sick to my stomach.
It felt to me like, and again, this is just an impression, but it felt to me like either he was like corrupt and somebody got to him or whatever, or if we're taking it as a genuine ruling, it felt, when I read the ruling, it felt to me like he made up his mind, had like a gut impression that this was an honest woman, that she wowed him in some way. And that, so then everything else was to try to fit everything into that viewpoint. And
like he's like working backwards, trying to justify, like, I think this, and then like, it's not
paradigm. Yeah.
Like, it's like he's almost like working backwards, trying to like invent reasons for why he thinks that way, as opposed to saying the evidence says this and this, therefore I think this. Is like, I think this because does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's dead on. That's right. And so I don't know. I'm like you. I'm kind of split between these two different possibilities. But there's definitely something wrong with it. I mean, but I just wonder. You know, maybe Amber. Okay, here's the feeling that I got. I got the feeling from his ruling that this judge is maybe kind of has been sort of a bookworm his whole life and very studious, but has not had. I got the feeling of someone who's not had a lot of life experience and maybe not a lot of experience with the opposite sex, especially the opposite sex in its more complicated, manipulative form, which is Amber Heard, right? Yeah. And it's almost like I got the feeling of he just couldn't accept it.
I think I know exactly what, like, the kind of guy that you're talking about, because one of my friends is that kind of guy. He's like, oh, you're gonna make another video about Amber Heard. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, oh no, I just like her. I was like, what? She just seems like a nice person. Like, haven't you seen her Drive Angry movie? I was just like,
I know.
I was like, you know what? Please just don't go there with me. He's like, are you trying to silence me? I was like, no, you know what? Think whatever you want. I just don't want to hear it.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So a male Amber Heard defender, because I was expecting a
female. Amber Heard Sims.
Amber Heard. That's right.
Which is Elon Musk, like, I guess is still allegedly maybe simping for Amber Heard. So it's like that type, you know, like just the more sensitive kind of, like, I don't know.
I would love to know if he's still involved. I don't know. So
is that his baby? Like, that's because there was that thing about the embryo, and all of a sudden she's like,
that's the thing, is like when you say stuff like that out loud, especially to people who don't follow this case like we do, it sounds insane. But it sounds like some like
Jerry Springer
insane cooked up tabloid story. I don't know if it's his baby or not, though, because it is hard for me to imagine that a man that wealthy and powerful would give up involuntarily, would get like manipulated into giving up his sperm, but who knows? I don't know.
It was like a Jerry Springer, like, you are not the father.
Right, you're very Povish, but yes.
I'm sorry. No. Yeah, it's turning into that. I was just like, wow, this is getting really trashy, really quick.
But you know, I hated her statement, and I'm sure you did too. But that statement about, it was all about her with the baby. You know, when she announced her baby.
To me, it read like a PR move. Like, I'm so loving and nurturing. I couldn't possibly be this abusive person like you say I am. Right? Because it's like, okay, well, you're preparing for your new movie, like, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, baby. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it totally does. I mean,
And
I think
yeah,
it's like a number of people have said on Twitter. I do think that everything she does is calculated to some degree, unfortunately, except when she's wasted and she's being abusive, right? It's almost
yeah.
like that's when her id really comes out, and it's one nasty person, it seems like. And I don't know, but okay. So the UK verdict, how shocking was it for you? I didn't see it coming
Um,
at all. Did you see it coming?
no, because it didn't make sense. And to be honest with you, it was kind of like a little bit triggering for me because I guess I didn't even realize how that's probably why I felt like some kind of like being drawn to this because I have like my own experiences like with sexual assault and things like that. And I didn't tell anybody because I knew that people like wouldn't believe me or like what they would say. And I just felt like, okay, it's just easier not to say anything. And so I was like, okay, yes, it's good that you like speak up and it's good. You should speak up and you should fight. And it wasn't even so much, I guess, the verdict, but it was how people reacted about it. Even people that were pro Johnny, like, oh, he would have been better off just leaving it alone. And it just kind of was a bit triggering for me. Like, okay, so like, when someone does fight to speak up, like, oh, you should have just left it alone. So it's just kind of like was reinforcing that idea that there's no point in speaking up. So I'm really glad that he is continuing to fight, and I'm hoping that like on his home turf in the US that he'll have a better chance. I'm really hoping because I've seen firsthand that women can be abusers, and that I don't think that abuse, whether it's sexual, physical, emotional, should be gendered. Like women can sometimes be the worst of the abusers because it's more covert. And society is like, oh, a woman, like a poor friend, she couldn't possibly do that. That's why women can sometimes be the most evil, abusive of all, right?
And you say that, do you say that just from general experience, or have you seen that in your work as a
Yeah, from like life, like experience and stuff. Like there's a lot of like like my family's Brazilian. There's like a lot of like generational trauma and things like that. And I've seen firsthand how like in Brazil it's really bad. Like it's a third world country, and it's a country where, especially if you do like, it's either you live in like a slum with like no bed, or you live in like a home with housekeepers or something like that. So when you do come from somewhere that is lower class and you manage to fight your way to the top, you'll do whatever it takes to stay there, even if it means knowing that your husband is literally molesting your daughter. You're just turning a blind eye. So this is like what I know about. So I know firsthand how evil women can be.
You're saying that you knew someone who,
Yeah, without like naming names or like telling too much of it, but
gotcha.
yeah, I've like women that would literally allow their own child to get molested by their husband because he has a lot of money, and if I leave him, then I'm going to go back to being poor. So she's got to take one for the team. How evil is that? Like and that is how evil like women can get it's the love of money, the love of things, the love of fame, the love of.
I was going to say, it's interesting you bring up these 2 points that women are just as capable of evil behaviors, but they're often couched in more covert methods. And so when we look at Amber Heard, for instance, or when a number of people looked at Amber Heard, they saw someone who's really good at radiating. Well, we could have a debate, I guess. Some people say not very good, but at times she's really good at sort of radiating. Like when she gave those hearing aids to the hearing impaired. Like, were they in Brazil? Where were they? They were in South America somewhere.
I think so. Yeah.
And she just, she's crying and seemingly very genuine. And so anyway, I guess the point that we're making is that it's harder to get people on board at times, this narrative that women are capable of lying, and not, which is not to say that most women lie or whatever, but so tell us, our audience, just a bit about what topics you cover on your channel. While I'm thinking about it, is it mostly Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, but other things, or?
Well, that's been like the bulk of it. But I have also like I don't know. I kind of just like cover things that either like, well, usually things that mean something to me, because I'm the kind of person, if I hear something that really disturbs me, I feel like I have to talk about it, because being
Arctic.
if you're I feel like silence is compliance. I've talked about Britney Spears. I started kind of talking about the Erica Girardi, Tom Girardi,
What is
Real
that?
Housewives
What is
thing.
that? Oh, on Real
Yeah.
Housewives. You know, I haven't watched that in a long time, but it's the
Her,
the older man, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah. And then
woman. Go ahead.
oh, sorry, no, it was, she was married to him. He was the lawyer, and she was off, like doing her show, performing on stage. And she talked like a long time ago, like a while ago, about like having depression. She wasn't happy. And then she divorced him. And then I guess people were like, oh, she must have known like what he was doing. Cause I guess he was, I think, originally getting sued because he misappropriated funds or something for, or I guess like he won a case for like a class action lawsuit, and he never distributed the funds apparently.
Oh, okay.
Which is fucked up.
Funny how that happens.
Which is really fucked up. But so I guess they aren't bringing her into it because she divorced him. They're saying you must be hiding funds, which I don't know. It's unfortunate that like a lot of times with social media, it's like you're guilty until proven innocent. They're like, she must have known. Then she's complicit. When as a lawyer, you're not supposed to talk about your cases with anybody. And also, like, they were very much in different worlds. Like, she's performing, she's like Pat the Puss.
Right. She's a DJ, like, right? A DJ?
Yeah. So as a lawyer or someone in law, you don't even bother discussing your cases with people because they have nothing really to like, not to offer, but like not with public cases like this, of course it's different, but if it's an actual work thing, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, hey girlfriend, like, let me talk to you about like this case I have at work. Right. They're just like, does that make sense? It's not to be condescending, but it's like, it's not like they're going to like tell you anything new or revolutionary. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not specialized. Yeah. So when it's a public case, it's up for public consumption. But if it's a work matter, you wouldn't like really go in depth discussing that with your girlfriends, because they probably would be like, oh, I don't care, like whatever. So I don't know. In that case, I'm not convinced entirely that she would have known, but we'll see. I know a lot of people probably will bite my head off for that, but I think innocent. I think innocent until proven guilty, which is what I think should have happened with Johnny Depp, for sure.
I was going to ask if you had any thoughts about Britney Spears. So do you know what's going on? Maybe you can just explain it. So tell me the updates. Tell me briefly the updates for today, or not briefly, whatever.
I know I didn't really go in depth with it, but I did see an update that the judge said she's granted the ability to pick her own lawyer, which is a big deal, because she can. Well, I wonder how that would work, because I wonder if her dad, because technically he controls her finances, would he be like, oh, or if that would kind of supersede that I'm not sure about, but she's now allowed to pick her own lawyer. I don't know too much more besides that, but that's good. That's a good first step, because now she can pick some like, high powered, expensive lawyer to help her get out of this, as opposed to, the lawyer that they give people that can afford it,
Yeah, no, that's good.
Which is like the bare minimum.
Right. Well, so I was going to ask, did you, I saw something you said about how she cried in court today. Did you read or hear any of that? Or no,
that was today?
Yeah. Somebody told me that she accused her father of, let's see. Okay. I'm just going to read this briefly. It says, it's this, if you want to look at it, I don't know if you have it there or not, but it's, I'll read it to you.
Read it. Yeah.
It's the front page story of the Daily Mail. And it says, Britney Spears has shared a clip of Instagram. Where is it? Sorry. Now it's not talking about that. Hold on just a second. Sometimes the Daily Mail, their organization of their stories is not good. All right, let's see. Okay. This is 11 minutes ago. This is E News.
Okay.
It says Britney Spears says father Jamie is ruining her life, wants him charged with conservatorship abuse. During a court hearing today on Wednesday, July 14th, where E News was present, the singer broke down in tears while testifying that she was extremely scared of Jamie Spears. Quote, I'm here to get rid of my dad and charge him with conservatorship abuse, she told the court. I want him investigated. This conservatorship has allowed my dad to ruin my life. And it says Britney told the court that every part of her life has been controlled down to her diet and that she worked 70 hours a week. So she's saying basically, and she's been, that her dad is engaged in conservatorship abuse. What is your take in general? Do you have one about the Britney Spears situation?
I think it's fucked up, and I really hope that Britney Spears gets out of it. And I didn't make a video on it after I heard her audio. The reason why,
and our viewers, I'm gonna put the link for sure, the link to your YouTube channel in our description and the comment section, and so viewers should definitely check you out for sure. But so you did a video on the Britney Spears case, yeah?
Well, after I heard the audio, because just based on what she was saying and specifically how he wouldn't allow her to get married or he wouldn't allow her to remove the IUD. Mm-hmm. So I kind of was like, wait a second, there has to be a bigger reason behind that besides just I'm a dick. So I looked it up. So if she wanted to get married, then the conservatorship would basically end, right? Because a husband supersedes a dad. So that would be number one why they wouldn't want her to get married.
So you're saying that there would be
there'd be no purpose to having a conservatorship because husband supersedes father.
Yeah, you've got someone there, hopefully taking care of her with her best interest at heart or whatever. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, because if she has a life partner husband, then essentially if the conservatorship was deemed to continue to be necessary, right. When you get the husband would be the most appropriate person to take over,
right?
Because it wouldn't really make sense why when you have a husband or something, right. It's kind of almost when in a will or something, it would always kind of go to your spouse first.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, totally understand. And so Jamie was kind of threatened by that, I guess.
Yeah, because he obviously doesn't want the conservatorship to end. And of course, even if say they don't get officially married, if he becomes her baby daddy, well, then again, he has some kind of grounds to maybe either end the conservatorship or take over it because he's her baby daddy, right? Could be well, I'm not entirely sure. Well, here in Canada, we have what's called common law or something. So there's a lot of importance. If you have a child with someone that relationship, it kind of can become over time, you can have a lot of the same rights as someone that's legally married, or and all there was also one thing I read that's interesting where there's a lot of laws around sterilization for people that are in conservatorships, but not so much IUD things, but because Britney is upper 30s, they're saying that it should be considered a form of sterilization because she only has so many childbearing years left.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So if they were to not allow her for, let's say, who knows? Every woman's different. But let's say if they force her to keep the IUD in for another 5, 6, 7 years, that could essentially amount to sterilization. And in order to do that, you do need a court order. So that's why they're saying this should be pushed up. And there's so many, and she should have a right to get married and things like that, but for some reason they're just not allowing her to do so.
It's one of those things once you get trapped in it, it's hard to get out. I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
And everyone's kind of could be on the payroll because I guess he's the one now essentially controlling all the money. So it's here you go. I mean, this is my what I'm thinking. I don't know, but it would just make sense because he's the one controlling all of the money. So it's shut the fuck up. Here you go. Shut up. Right. And then all of a sudden, you can, as Amber Heard would say, is there a vet we can grease? He'll probably is there a doctor I can grease? Is there
Yeah. Oh,
There's
man.
a lot of shady people out there if you look hard enough that will like do whatever you want.